So we have some new Civivi knives, and I gotta say, these are pretty cool. I'm really digging some of these. This new BULLTUSK is a really awesome knife. It is a fantastic user. You know, just when you get it in hand, you can really tell that this thing wants to be used. It has a 14C 28M blade with a beautiful blade shape for EDC. Great geometry, nice thin blade stock, and then it's super broad, so it allows it to get down to a nice thin edge. And the blade shape, because it's a straight clip point, great at utility cuts. You know, you got a lot of leverage down there. And the thing with this knife is the blade and handle, how they complement each other, works so good. You know, these ergonomics are just, it kind of sits forward, which allows you to get a lot of great cutting performance. Using this thing feels very natural. It's very comfortable. It feels like it just wants to be used, like it wants to cut. And then when you mix the blade geometry with these ergonomics, holy cow, man, this thing cuts like a champ. It cuts really well. You can choke up all the way up to the edge for, you know, finer cutting, or you can choke back. You got great jimping that locks you in, and it just, you know, it soars through material, man. And you have so much leverage in this handle. It's a great thickness, great width, great everything that just sits nice and comfortable in the hand. I don't hardly feel the clip. It is a deep carry clip that's inset with flat screws and reversible. T8 hardware all the way around. Now, this is the all blacked out version. There is other color options as usual, so there is different flavors, but it has this tacky feeling to the G10 that is really grippy. It allows you to really, you know, it feels like you couldn't rip this out of my hand even in wet conditions. Great access to the lock bar. Very smooth on the drop. Now, with the action, you have a very comfortable flipper tab with very good jimping. Now, this flipper tab allows you to do the push button or the light switch very comfortably. Both are really good. However, the detent, you know, I would say it's on the medium side. I can fail it. I do kind of wish it was a little bit stronger, but it's good though. Like, it's not bad. Like, it's not a deal breaker by any means because it's super snappy. You know, no problems. I would never fail it, put it that way. I would never fail it unless if I intentionally am trying. So in some cases, a lot of people prefer that. Now, what really makes it good is because, what really works well is the detent with the reverse flick. So the whole deployment, you know, the detent is perfectly tuned for that. Which, you know, it's still really well tuned for the flipper. So I don't want to make it seem like it's bad. I do not take it that way. It has a great detent, but I would say it's on the medium side. You know, it's not strong, it's not super light, right there in the happy medium, but this hole lands in such a great place for you to flick or thumb flick. The reverse flick is amazing, great access, great leverage. It sits and balances in your hand just so naturally for the reverse flick. You know, just it feels like it was just, you know, obviously it was, but you know, you could tell it was designed for it. That's all I'm trying to say. Great knife, man. Nice sharpening tool and plunge grind. They did a good job with that. As far as negatives go, I honestly have nothing at all. You know, if I was going to be a nitpicky bastard, I would say maybe the detent could be tuned a tiny bit stronger, but I could do that myself by increasing the lock bar strength ever so slightly, and it would be very slightly because I would not want it much stronger. And you know, to be honest, it's not even worth me changing, so I'm not gonna do that. So that just tells you right there how I feel about it. But yeah, it looks aggressive, it looks cool, and it actually, when you get it in hand, like I said, you can really feel that thing wants to be used. Let's check out the next one. By the way, I have links to everything down in the description. Now, if you go to the Civivi link that I have, you have a 15% discount code. So remember, the prices that you see, you can take 15% off. Just make sure you use the discount code. Now, the next one already was a premium version from NEEVEKNIVECO. This is the TYPHOEUS, I think that's how you pronounce it. And this one's in 20 CV with titanium, and it came in a bunch of different color options, or a few different color options. But everybody kept complaining, or not complaining, everybody kept screaming, make a budget version, make a budget version. So they did. So you can see you got the NEEVEKNIVECO sheath with the version. Now we have the Civivi version, which the Civivi version, you know, they did not sacrifice build quality in any way. All they did was change the materials, which I do appreciate. So instead of sacrificing quality, they just swapped materials. So instead of 20 CV, you have 14C 28N. Instead of titanium, you have G10 scales, which, you know, it has this, you know, steel on the inside, you know, for all the working parts, but it makes it to where you can get this in a more budget-friendly option. Now, I've tested it. I've tested the other one, and you know, my biggest worry before testing the other one, was that this would pinch me, you know, in my hand when trying to use it. But when you're gripping it and you're actually holding this in your palm and you're squeezing, it ain't going nowhere. There's no movement at all. You can punch it into anything, even something extremely hard, and you don't feel any movement whatsoever. It feels like a fixed blade. It really does. At least in the push dagger position. So when you're punching, slashing, anything like that, you don't feel any movement whatsoever, as long as you have a good squeeze. Now, as far as like an EDC knife goes, you know, using it as just a regular EDC knife, yes, if you choke up and you push the blade, you can feel it going forward. But if you hold back here, it actually is very solid. So you can cut with it just fine. And most of the cuts you do all push towards the lockup. So you rarely ever feel it move forward unless if you're doing weird cutting. But as far as like, you know, utility cuts and just regular slicing and opening things up, you know, it works great. The pinch grip, yeah, you have the threat of it going like that if you don't palm it. But as long as you palm it where you're pushing the palm against the back right here, it's locked in place really, really well. So very smooth. Now, if you get one and it's a little bit tight for you, it's T8 hardware all the way around. Just take your T8 bit and just ever so slightly back out that screw. And I mean very, very little. That will make it very, very smooth. But make sure you throw some thread locker in it because you don't want that. You don't want to lose that screw either. But you know, it'll probably come smooth enough right out of the box, and also if it's not, it'll break in, you know, over a little bit of time. Now, as far as carrying it goes, when it's on the belt, I prefer it towards the back, like, you know, on the back side of my hip, because on the front, it gets in the way when I sit down. On the back, I just feel like I'm reaching too far back to get to it. I like it right on the, you know, right on the back side of my hip. And you want to make sure when you put it in the sheath that the Civivi logo is facing inward. So you don't want to see the Civivi logo when you are putting it in the sheath. Now, the sheath works great. You know, it's a nice leather sheath. The belt, you know, thing is, you know, feels pretty durable. It hangs on really well. The snap from the buckle is, you know, it seems like a good button. You know, the other one's held up well over time, but it sits only in the push dagger position because if you needed to rapidly deploy it, this is the one you're gonna want, right? If you had to, like if this was a speed thing where it's like you're trying to get it out and get it into action as fast as possible, it's most likely gonna be a situation where you need to get it into the punch dagger. However, you know, if you did need to just cut something, you just pull it out, slap it forward really easily. So you just grip it and then put your thumb under there and push forward. And then it goes into the regular knife position. So very easy. Like I said, you just hold up here, put your thumb under, snap up. And now it's in the regular knife position. And then to go, obviously, to the push dagger, you squeeze right here and swing it forward. Hold this back side because that's the side that doesn't move. So yeah, all in all, really, really cool. And I like I said, I love that they didn't sacrifice quality or anything like that. As far as negatives go, you know, again, you know, this thing is done very, very well. I think it would have been cool if it was done in aluminum. That's not a negative in any way, shape, or form. There is a difference in the blade shape. That is one thing they did change. This is just a regular clip point. This one's a clip point tanto, but you know, the tip spears out, so you know it is definitely for poking. But yeah, there's really no negatives. Nothing's really wrong with it. It's either your style or not, you know, but that's, you know, subjective. That's up to you. It does come in other color options. So, you know, if you don't like this flavor, there is plenty of other flavors as usual from Civivi. So, you know, maybe we will see an aluminum version in the future. Let's get to the last one. So the last one is the Vision FG. So the Vision FG. This already came in a premium version as well, which was the NEEVEKNIVECO Vision. Now, the Vision, honestly, is not as good as the Civivi version, which is crazy to say that the affordable version is better than the premium version, but it is in a few different ways. Now, obviously the materials are better on the one. As far as premium goes, it's 20 CV with titanium. The budget version comes in nitro V steel with a beautiful satin sheepsfoot blade. This is a fantastic blade for EDC. And then in this case, the new version has ULTEM scales. It does come in G10 as well, which I do have. This is the new ULTEM version, but it has steel liners instead of, you know, titanium scale. So I think the other one has steel liners too, but either way, it's titanium in 20 CV. This one's Nitro V and ULTEM, or you get the G10 version. Now, the differences between the premium version and this one that make this one so much better. One, the detent on this type of locking system is not very strong, you know, so having a hole deployment just wasn't as satisfying, but adding thumb studs made it satisfying. So the action's faster, such a snappier deployment, a lot easier to get deployed and, you know, into action or into, you know, into cutting. And yeah, like it's just more satisfying, better, it's way better. Then the next thing is the actual lock itself. They added texturing to it and it protrudes a little bit more. So instead of it just being a slippery nub, it actually is grippy and it's a lot easier to open and close the knife with that lock. Then the next thing is the clip. The clip, they changed it from that spine clip to a regular pocket clip. It is inset with flat screws and reversible. However, this is my biggest complaint of the knife, is that it's on the spine. Because when you're holding it and you hold it back here, you feel that clip a lot. If you choke up, you can get past it. It's not a deal breaker at all. It's still a great cutter, a great user, but if they would have just centered it, man, it would have been so much better. Anyways, the knife itself, man, as a tool, this thing is a phenomenal tool. It has a super strong locking system, nice slicey sheep's foot blade. It's great at utility cuts. The ergonomics are very neutral. I love neutral ergo. So if you wanted to cut straps, if you wanted to cut forward, cut down on a surface, even the gas station knife fighting grip is really good. So, you know, the design and just the shape and overall everything on the knife, it is a very, very functional tool. It's a very slicey, tough knife, basically, which I always appreciate. The ULTEM scales, they're either your style or not. A lot of people love them, a lot of people hate them. You know, that's up to you. Oh yeah, and the Wii version, this thing did pop out. That was another thing. Now it doesn't pop out, which was intentional, but I don't think people liked it as much. This one put a stop pin there, so you can't yank it out. Basically, you could just yank it up and then pull back and it would pop out on the Wii version. But anyways, I love the FG. I think this is a phenomenal knife. As far as negatives go, really the main one is the clip, you know, the clip on the spine. I wish it was centered. The detent could be a little bit stronger, but, you know, with thumb studs, it's so much better. It's not that big of a deal. But, you know, if I was going to really be a nitpicky bastard, I would say I wish the detent was just a little bit stronger to give it a little bit more snap. But anyways, there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.